Looking back, this past year was really a great one for the show, and that's in no small part due to the amazing support that I get from all of you. We had a lot of great guests this year, and I just want to remind you of some of my favorite episodes, so you can go back and listen again or listen for the first time if you missed them. So in no particular order, here are some of my favorite episodes from this past year. So the first is my episode with Anthony Barksdale, called American Policing in Crisis. Anthony Barksdale was acting commissioner of the Baltimore Police Department from 2007 to 2012, and we discussed everything related to police use of force against civilians. I was really amazed by Anthony's depth of wisdom and experience as a police officer. Anthony is a guy with a lifetime of experience being the person deployed to the scene where there is a potentially violent person and having to make judgment calls that involve his own life and the lives of others. And this is in Baltimore, which is one of the toughest cities in America. And he's now retired and able to speak freely. And he has decades of congealed wisdom about policing. He has an incredible mind, and he's such a brilliant guide on all of these issues. I mean, the man has a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he tried to train all of the cops under him in jiu-jitsu so they could have confidence de-escalating situations without using weapons. He's just incredible. So if you missed that episode, I highly recommend you stop listening to this right now and start listening to that. It's called American Policing in Crisis with Anthony Barksdale, and that came out in June. Okay, another one I really enjoyed is The Tale of a Radical with Jesse Morton. Jesse Morton lived an incredible life. And I say lived here because Jesse actually tragically died last month at only 43 years old. And I don't know anything other than rumors about the cause of his death, but he really did live a full life and he will be missed. Just to give a little summary, Jesse was an American convert to radical Islam who, long story short, ended up getting de-radicalized and doing amazing work to de-radicalize others from extremist movements of all kinds. He's really a person that turned his suffering into positivity for the world. And I only got to hang out with Jesse once, but I can say he was an extremely warm and compelling guy in real life. And some of that comes through in my conversation with him. So that's The Tale of a Radical with Jesse Morton, which came out in October. Okay, another one of my favorites from this year was The Transgender Revolution with Helen Joyce. Helen is among the most clear-eyed critics of what she calls trans activist ideology. We discussed everything related to gender identity, gender transition, sex-segregated spaces, and so forth. And this is a topic I've been doing more research on since I discussed it with her and then later with Michelle Telfer. And I'm actually going to do a long solo episode on this topic very soon because I've been getting a lot of criticisms and questions that I think are worth addressing at length. But in the meantime, if you're at all confused by or interested in the national conversation on gender identity and trans issues, then I highly recommend this episode. That's The Transgender Revolution with Helen Joyce, which came out in September. And finally, one of my favorite episodes from this year was A Life Without Problems with Ryan Holiday. That episode was all about stoicism. We talked about anxiety, suffering, meditation, emotional self-control, ego, Trump and Kanye, trauma, attention, and much more. I really enjoyed that one. That one's called A Life Without Problems with Ryan Holiday, and it was released in October.